Hello there, ladies. It's Amanda here. Hope you're having an awesome weekend. And I wanted to pop up and talk about sleep. And today's a perfect day to talk about it because I am totally sleep deprived today. Our plane got in at like 1:30 a.m. last night. And so by the time I got to bed, it was 2, going on 3 hours of sleep. Bulletproof coffee withdrawal as well. But I wanted to come on and talk about sleep because I was at the Bulletproof conference with my husband this past weekend and heard a great talk from Dr. Bruce Lee, the sleep doctor. And he has a great book called The Power of When, which basically kind of harmoniously tells you when are your best times to do this and when are your best times to do that. But I know with so many women I work with, one of the biggest challenges of having desire and is having time for yourself and just being exhausted all the time. So sleep is so important. I mean, it's one of our basic needs for self-care, and most of us don't get enough of it. So I wanted to share some tips that he offered on how you can get better sleep. I thought these were great. Some of them you may have heard before, but as I also, like to share, and always pretend like you don't know anything so you can learn something new each time you hear it. Because I think with sleep, really it's simple in the big picture, but not so simple. So one of the things that I had that was new to me was using light as medicine. So I think it's becoming more known that blue light at night is really bad. It kind of stimulates you and makes it really hard to go to sleep. So really try to avoid blue light at night. And he recommended some light bulbs called good night light bulbs that you can put into your bedroom, which actually block all the blue light so that it helps your body be able to sleep. And in the morning, there's also a daytime bulb that you can put in your bathroom that's got more of the blue light that can wake you up in the morning. So that could be the morning light. And using light as medicine, I thought was a very unique perspective. Let's see. As you can tell, I'm sleepy. Anyways, another thing, blue blocker glasses. Now, you might laugh because it just reminds me of those commercials back in the day of the big, huge blue blockers. They have some more cool looking styles nowadays, but using those glasses, like when it starts to get dark at night to kind of filter out light is powerful, especially like if you're in an environment, maybe you work in an office with harsh lighting all day, it's really helpful for your eyes. I tried some out the other day and literally my head felt so much better after putting those things on for a few minutes. So I'm going to probably get some sometime soon. Anyways, so I wanted to share that as well. Those were a couple of new things, and I've seen a lot more people talking about those glasses and why they're effective, and now I kind of have a better understanding of why. Some other things, nap hacking. And who has time for a nap, right? Very few of us. But ideally, between the hours of 1 and 3, if you're feeling that need to take a nap, it's just a natural rhythm that most people have. And so it's normal to feel that way. So in lieu of a nap, if you can, on your lunch break, or if you have an opportunity, go get in direct sunlight for 10 minutes. And that will help stop the melatonin production so that you can stay alert, which I thought was very cool. And some other just helpful tips to sleep better, kind of sleep hygiene. I remember my doctor shared this with me years ago, and I thought, but I didn't really think too much of it. But now I really try to implement it more because I notice such a difference when I'm well rested and when I'm not. And I did actually ask him the question because I know with a lot of busy moms, how do you have time to sleep when your kids don't sleep? And he said that, and I don't necessarily agree with him on this because I didn't sleep train my daughter. She didn't sleep through the night till she was 2.5. So granted, it was brutal, but at the same time, that was just my choice. But I'm sure I probably would have been a more pleasant person to be around maybe if I had done it. So everybody can choose what they want, and every option is great. So he recommended Babywise for sleep training, and he said his wife did it with his 4 kids, and that she was amazing, and he gave her all the props for it. But, that is something to think of, really. If you're struggling with functioning, then getting sleep is vital. And so if you need to do it, then you need to do it. And he recommended that. And so I get that. You got to take care of yourself so you can take care of everybody else. And that's really important. So other things, no wine 3 hours before bed or alcohol. And interestingly enough, red wine is worse than white wine for interfering with sleep. So if you do want to, have a later glass of wine, think about having white versus red. And coffee. I love coffee. I mean, sometimes I go to bed at night and just dream of waking up and drinking that coffee. So one of the things that was interesting I learned is that you really want to wait and drink your coffee 90 minutes after you wake up. Because when you first wake up, you have like adrenaline and cortisol in your system. And so adding coffee in at that moment doesn't really do anything to boost your energy level. I don't always agree with that because sometimes I feel like I need to like pry my eyes open with toothpicks when I first wake up. But I get that now. And, really allowing yourself that time to wake up without a digital device, because that first hour of waking, when you start by being on the phone and doing things like that, it messes with how your brain processes for the entire day. So if you can avoid using your phone for the first hour after you wake up as well, it's hugely powerful. And another thing, over the night, you usually exhale about 1 liter of water. So waking up, drinking 16 ounces of water first thing is going to really help you out. Other thing, in the morning after you shower, then you can just cool it down. It doesn't have to be cold, but put cool water on your face for 1 minute. It makes all the blood go down to your torso, so it kind of clears the brain fog and it'll help you wake up. Other things, power down your electronics 1 hour before bed. I know I always like to talk about this because I think that electronics in the bedroom are a disaster for relationships. Although sometimes I know you can't avoid it, but he did recommend, TV better than iPads and phones because of just the way the interaction is with your brain. It's much better to not have something close, but like watching a show. And if you do have a TV in your bedroom, make sure you use the sleep timer. So if you fall asleep, it's not keeping you awake, those waves, and the lights and everything like that. So use a sleep timer if you watch TV in your bedroom, although I try to recommend to people, if you can get the electronics out of your bedroom, you're going to notice such a better sleeping experience and connecting with your partner. Let's see. Oh, yes. So he talked about his bedtime routine, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's not going to work for everyone, but it might for some. So like you have a bedtime routine for your kids, have a bedtime routine for yourself. So like an hour before bed, start powering down, like 20 minutes, like finish up the last emails, finish cleaning up things you need to do, pack the lunches, this, that, and the other. And then the next 20 minutes, personal hygiene. So like go and actually take the time to wash your face and put on some lotion or just whatever do to make you feel good. And then the last 20 is doing something relaxing and meditative. So whatever that looks like for you. Another thing, aromatherapy like lavender or vanilla, diffusing in your room before bed has really been proven to help people sleep. And then keeping a notepad by your bed so that if you do wake up in the middle of the night, you're not like trying to burn that thought into your head and keeping yourself awake. You can just, he even recommended like pens with a light on it so you can just write your little note and go back to sleep without turning on the light and fumbling and waking up your partner who's sleeping. Anyways, 60, 75 degrees of temperature is the idea. And yeah, but basically just setting a routine and sticking with it, keeping it consistent. So most people need 5 cycles of 90-minute sleep because we usually sleep in 90-minute cycles. So, and everyone's different, but for the most part, you need 5. So for example, if you go to bed at 10 and you get up at 6, that's going to be a good routine. And you want to keep that as often as you can, even on the weekends. And you want to wake up at the same time every day because those rhythms, getting those rhythms regulated is key to like having good sleeping well, and having that be consistent. And in his book, he actually has a quiz you can take to determine what type you are. And I thought that was kind of interesting because, depending on your hormonal type, there's certain times of the day that are better for you to do certain things. And interestingly enough, most people, 72% actually of couples, have sex between 10:30 and 11:30 at night. Why? Well, because convenient. You're right there next to each other and probably have less clothes on than typical. And it just, is a time that a lot of couples have sex. However, to really have the best connection, you want to have estrogen, testosterone, cortisol, adrenaline high, and melatonin low. And at that time of day, the exact opposite is happening. So that's why it's hard for a lot of couples to connect at 10:30 at night. So the morning is actually the most ideal time for the majority of people to have sex. And if you can ever get that in, I know it's, a challenge, especially with kids, because they have some kind of sixth sense that when you're awake, they're going to pop in. But if you can get it in, all the better. I have a friend, and she actually has her kids dress themselves, make their breakfast, and watch a show. So her and her husband can connect in the morning. So there are ways to make it happen if you want to. And so thought that was very interesting. And I know so many people tell me, I'm so exhausted. How can I make time for a connection when I'm so exhausted? How can I make time for myself when I'm so exhausted? So I would say, if you are that person and you are feeling so exhausted, make a commitment to yourself to focus on sleep. Because whatever you focus on is going and put attention to is going to grow, right? So if it's really important for you to get the rest that you need, look and see, what can I eliminate? What can I add? Like, what do I need to do to allow myself to get the sleep that I need so vitally? And hopefully that will benefit you. So Thank you so much for watching. I'm excited to share so much good stuff that I learned. I will be on every day this week with a good new tip that I've learned. I've been super busy the past few weeks, just like my brain is learning overload in a bit, because I was on a retreat for a week with my teacher Layla Martin and 100 of my SLRC sisters. Those are the women who have been doing the sex, love, and relationship coaching program for the past year and a half with me. And then I was at this conference with my husband this past 3 days. So just such good stuff. And I want to try to distill it and be able to share with you my favorite takeaways that you can implement and hopefully will benefit your life. So thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. And if you have any questions, please post those below, and we'll see you soon.